Thank you for staying with us. Now, this announcement by NERC is a very vexatious one, and it seems that most of us don't quite understand it fully yet. So we'll be looking at the electricity price hike all over again. So following the approval by the NERC, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, of a significant 240% hike in electricity tariffs, it is crucial for Nigerians to grasp the key aspects of this development. The NERC has set a rate of 225 naira per kilowatt hour for Band A electricity consumers nationwide. Of course, I'm sure your question is, so who are those in Band A? They say those who get at least 20 hours a day. Okay, we'll get clarity on all of that this morning, and it's my pleasure to welcome the Executive Director, Research and Advocacy, Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors, Mr. Sunday Oduntan. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Are you?
I've been here many times in the last 10 years. Yes.
He's happy to be here.
Well, he's
very
happy
happy
to
be
the band,
okay,
isn't he?
Very
now,
happy to be here.
Mr. Oduntan, let us begin with this 20 hours a day. That's
Yes.
the one that's confusing a lot of people. Before we go to Band A, does anybody enjoy 20 hours power per day in Nigeria?
Yes.
Apart from Aso Rock, of course, and maybe the National Assembly.
Yes. I am a customer of 2 discos.
How so?
When I'm in Abeokuta, Egbaland,
Okay.
I'm not on Band A. I'm actually on Band D. So I do not enjoy more than 8 hours. I enjoy less than 8 hours.
Okay.
When I'm in Abuja, I live in an estate called Sun City Estate. I'm sure they are watching. It is never, ever less than 20 hours a day. And I've been living there for 10 years. So when people talk about this thing, let us put it in content. I understand Nigerians' frustration. I understand how people feel. I understand the economy. I understand the issue of affordability. But the first thing our people need to understand is that a government has to have the ability to take difficult decisions. And in this case, our regulator, NERC, should be commended for having the courage to begin to look at the true cost of production of electricity. And what they've done is commendable, because what they have done is just to look at about 15% of the customers, 15%, 1.5. Why should we, for God's sake, be subsidizing electricity for a man who uses Rolls Royce? Why should we as a country not begin to look at people and say, okay, if you are getting 20 hours minimum, in some places 24 hours. I can tell you places, even in Ogun State, where they get between 20 and 24 hours. In the same Abeokuta, where I hail from, while I live in an area where I only get less than 8 hours, I know of 5 areas in Abeokuta, the state capital, the Ogun State capital, where they get a minimum of 20 hours.
Well,
in Lagos, here, not far from this studio, there are places where they get an average of 20 hours. Let us put it in content. So what I'm saying is this. What the regulator had done is to say, okay, we've been talking. I was there in September 2015.
We'll get to what the regulator is saying.
Yes.
But when you say you understand the pains and anguish of Nigerians,
yes,
do you?
I do. I'm suffering too.
What
I'm
do you?
part of the
Please,
pain.
please don't even go there. Don't even go, please.
I am.
Do you really understand? Because, I mean, people can understand marginal increase from time to time.
Yes.
But to jump to between 240 and 300% at once, someone went to get electricity, bought 20,000 naira worth of electricity, and came back with only 82 units. Someone who would normally have gotten maybe about 200 or so units got 82 units, less than 83 units. That person definitely has reason to complain. So, and there are those who run small shops, those who run cold rooms, who are literally eking a living, and they have to deal with this. Please, don't even get me started on the assumption that it's only band 8 that's been increased. Right now, there are people who are watching us right now who will tell you that they are in band. In fact, some don't even have any band, and their electricity cost has been increased. So, do you really understand what people are going through?
What happened in Abuja, for which they have got a fine? Of course, you're aware of that.
Yes.
They just increased across the board.
No, they didn't just do that. That was a glitch, but that shows you
it's a
that
glitch.
The system is working. What do I mean? It shows
how come the glitch didn't give people electricity units?
Oh, that has happened.
It just took it away.
That has happened before. You see, when you get it free, you don't talk. When you get it the other side, but I'm not justifying that. But what I'm telling you is that it shows that the regulators are doing their job. It shows that the system is working. It shows that any operator that makes any mistake will pay for the mistake. We are paying for that. So that shows that this, what is going on here, like I said, this involves only 481 feeders all over the country. And Abuja has the highest, 107, about 107 feeders are involved. Now, what I'm saying is that it is not about those who do small shops. Well, if you do small shops, and you happen to be doing your small shops in an area where you get between 20 and 24 hours electricity, you will have to pay. I was here in September 2015 on Sunrise Daily, preaching about the need for cost-reflective tariff. I was talking about appropriate tariff to be paid for us to have a better economy. We have a choice between growing Nigerian economy and remaining where we are. Electricity is so important that we cannot expect government to subsidize electricity indefinitely. Even as of today, government is subsidizing electricity at about 67% are subsidized. So if 15% of customers are asked to pay the appropriate price of electricity, that is not too much. Do a calculation. I'll give you two scenarios. On the 6th of April 2023, exactly 1 year ago, what was the rate of Naira to the dollar? Perhaps at least people looking at us, watching us, need to understand the link between electricity tariff and the rate of Naira to the dollar. Everything that is produced in the Nigerian electricity supply industry has a huge forex component to it. More than 80% of what we do are imported from abroad. These are things that people need to understand. You can go back and check your program over the time, over the years. This is the same thing I have consistently explained here. That if we want electricity, all of us need to play our part. If you are getting the service, pay for it. And if you calculate how much you are paying, if you are buying diesel or petrol, it is more than this so-called very huge increase. And when you mention a jump, I understand, but that jump became a very important jump because of the reality that we find ourselves in.
You say you understand
or we don't.
You understand the plight of the Nigerian today.
Very much.
Do you, in terms of timing, do you think this is the right time for this to happen?
No, this does not affect the poor. This one, I'm saying on national TV, does not affect the poor. Don't let us use the sentiment or the emotion of, oh, people are going through a rough time. I can give you some of these areas that isn't affected. They can afford it. And it's not just about that.
You are very sure
it is cheaper to use this than to use diesel
you are sure
or petrol.
That they will not also pass the costs
across the board to everybody.
Because if it affects their living, affects their income, it's only natural that they also pass on the cost. Look at what SARS is saying on Twitter. It says on electricity, do you understand the ripple effects? Said that man that drives a Rolls Royce is the producer. he will definitely pass the buck. What's the cost of living per day for the Nigerian? So when you say you understand, there are several questions a number of people are asking, but let's speak to the issues that you have raised and what people need to understand and appreciate. The federal government has spoken about 1.14 trillion naira of subsidy, electricity subsidy, that is saved with this increase. But the question is, and I know there are those who have also referenced the fact that, look, when we transited from NITEL to telcos, to mobile telephony in Nigeria, the price was astronomical, but then at some point it came down. What are the things people need to understand? Because the challenge most times is we don't get communication.
Okay.
We just get information. And information is not communication. So you just push information to people and you expect them to just take it without asking questions. That's one of the things that's painful for people.
Okay, thank you very much. What I want Nigerians to understand is that any production process has a cost element to it. There's a cost of production to it. In the case of electricity, there's a cost, and the cost is huge. And the moment a businessman is not able to recover his costs while doing any business, that's where you begin to see people cutting corner. This is something we need to avoid. This is something we don't want to encourage in any case. Now, in this case, what we're saying is that there are still a lot of things to be done. A country of 220 or 240 million people, as we're told, what we have today, we are hovering between 4,000, 4,500 megawatts, when by now we should be doing 30,000 megawatts, which means we need to produce more electricity. We need to even think about mixed grid. We need to do electricity from solar. We need to do from other sources other than these mainly gas-fired
this thing that you're saying right now, Mr. Oduntan, we've been saying this same thing for decades.
Yes.
So what's holding us up?
What is impeding this is the issue of liquidity. To do all of these things requires a lot of money. To be honest with you, the cheapest, I think, is this gas and hydro that we're using. The moment we start to use biomass, or we're talking about even solar, they are not cheap. But the earlier we begin to do this, the better. Because if we can do more of this, as time goes on, the price will come down. Now that we have the Electricity Act, which now enables the state to get involved, there'll be more competition, and then we'll be able to do more. So what I'm saying is that for any player to be able to add any value to this sector, there's a need for appropriate pricing of the product. And what has been done now is only for, like I said, 481 feeders, which is about 15% of the customers. So government is still subsidizing the rest. So we should, as much as possible, understand the need for us to pay the appropriate pricing of the product. That is what we are saying. If we don't, we'll continue to say the same thing over and over again. You know, that's what we should not do.
Monitoring that process is another issue that a number of people have been dealing with.
That's it.
For instance, here is OJ saying, I lived in Garki Area 2 on Bendel Street for 2 years, between October 2018 and December 2022, and December 2020. I can confirm that power supply in that area was within the 20-hour daily average within that period. And I've read Osas's comments the other time. That is his own experience. But there are those like Alero telling you here.
And I want to read this one that just came in.
Okay.
Please let Nigerians know that Ogombo has not had light since January the 1st.
And Ogombo is beyond, after Lekki?
Yes.
Okay.
And Ogombo is not on Band A. But that's not to say that they should not have light.
Since January 1st.
So that's what I'm talking about.
Someone in Ibadan,
yes.
What's that area again? It's Bashoron or something. They haven't had lights for 3 months.
Okay.
Not up to 1 hour.
Same as Ogombo. Oh,
again,
Ogombo has not had at all since January the 1st.
That is speaking to the need for more investment in the Nigerian power sector. Again,
for which they need money. Which is why they are
to do it.
Yes.
If people don't pay the appropriate pricing of the product, where's the money to do it? How can you do a business where you cannot even recover 40% of your cost?
Mr.
You cannot continue to reinvest in a system understandable where they are even stealing the energy that you are producing.
That one is not the fault
Mr. Oduntan.
It is the fault of everybody.
And I'll tell you why.
That is the fault of the discos for not putting adequate equipment to ensure that it cannot get done.
Thank you.
I've never heard of power theft in the UK or power theft in America.
Oh, thank you. Now, when you talk about the need to put adequate equipment,
yes,
you have just mentioned, you have just confirmed what I said earlier on about the need for liquidity, because what you're talking about is forex.
Well, Mr. Oduntan, one of the arguments.
Yes.
My apologies.
And to do that,
just
how do you get money to do it?
Mr. Oduntan, one of the issues with that is this. This whole process started what year?
So 2013, November.
2013.
Yes.
That's about more than 10 years.
More than 10 years ago.
They signed up for it.
Oh, yes.
They did the feasibility study. They did all the checks that they needed.
Due diligence.
Maybe.
They did all the asset checks, all the liability checks.
Yes.
They knew what they were getting into. And they made promises both to the federal government of Nigeria
and to the people of Nigeria.
That's
so
correct.
they bought it all.
Correct.
And now you are saying that they don't have the money?
And assets.
No, you are taking me back. Unfortunately, it's something I try to avoid saying, but you have just said it, I'll go back. In 2013, when they were buying the assets, the government gave me some promises to them. They signed off to a document that has a 10-point agenda, 1 to 5 by the government, 6 to 10 by the new investors coming in. The government of Mr. Jonathan failed
in all 5.
Either none of the 5. And I'm not here to blame anybody, just to tell you the reality of where everything got wrong, okay? And it is easy for people to say, we don't want them, send them away. For your information, and I'm sure you know that, go back and check, those who bought the assets in 2013 are not all the same people there now. Some have been sent away. I will ask you now, what changes have you seen? Is it better? So if you say Alero is not good enough, go away. We want another person. And another person came, same thing. That means there's something fundamentally wrong with the system. You cannot say a house that has structural defect and you want to correct the defect, the next thing you do is to change the furnitures. If you move the furniture around, you have not addressed the issue. What the regulator is doing now, and this new government, we have had about 3 or 4 presidents, or 3 since. But what this one is doing now is taking the bull by the horn and saying, you know what, let's look at the cost of production, let's see who will pay what, and let's punish the operators if they don't do what they are supposed to do. Okay. One of our members have just been punished, and you've just mentioned that. Okay. So what happened over the years is a lot of regulatory inconsistencies, failure by the government to meet up with their own
obligations.
What's the assurance you have that this is going to make any difference? You
can be sure. You have just seen it in the last 24 hours. You just said it here. That one of our members was punished for a glitch in their system. They will sit up, so things will get better. I assure Nigerians that things will get better. What we should not continue to encourage is theft. What we should not continue to encourage is illegalities. We should get to a point where people should pay for their crime.
But Mr. Oduntan, how will things get better when generation is not increasing?
Generation will increase when there's liquidity. When you're able to pay the gas suppliers, you will be able to do more. That's what we're saying. When people are not paying, or those who are paying are not paying the appropriate price, how do you pay upstream to those who make it happen? Well, so things will get better.
Somebody is asking
better. Yes, 100%.
Stone of David.
You're all listening 100%. At home. Things will get better.
Well, oh, yes.
Stone of David is saying, can he tell us if Nigerians have enjoyed the increment so far? Then why would the rich have advantage to more power over the masses? In other words, there is a likelihood that if you pay more, you get more. And in fact, when it doesn't exist on other bands, Band-Aid will be prioritized simply because they're going to pay or have paid. That's the question that he's asking.
Okay. Number one,
c'est la vie.
it is my prayer that we get to a point where everybody gets moved up to band A. The issue of band is just all about service reflective tariff. People getting the service and paying for it. Once we can expand it, once we get more electricity to supply to people, why not? We are not out to discriminate against any customer or a group of people. What we say, even in Magodo, there is a part of Magodo now, they are begging us to go to Band A. If the system is not working, how come some people here in Lagos are saying, please, get
I'm very sure that
their cost of diesel is killing.
I'm sure
Magodo
is not on Band A.
But a part of it, there's a site there.
Because I know that they've been getting about 22 hours of light for about 2 years.
How come you now said earlier on that you have not heard of anybody?
You know, some people
they get 24 hours in Magodo.
24?
Yes, between 20 and 24. Yes, average of 24 hours. Oh, yes. If you have a friend there, I challenge you. Let the person tell us when last he bought petrol or diesel.
Mr. Oduntan.
24 hours.
We have produced service, yes.
Mr. Oduntan.
Between 20 and 24 in Magodo.
Disco, well done.
What are you talking about?
Oh, sorry, he lives in Magodo.
Maybe he lives in a part of Magodo where they're asking to go to Band A.
I am telling you,
yes,
in that same Magodo,
yes,
I know the prime areas, and I don't know of any other on prime area, if there is any such thing. They do not get 24 hours.
Okay.
In fact, in the past 1 month, there have been power outages more than half the month.
Okay. Let me tell you about, when you say the past 1 month, it's even more than that. In the past 2 months, we have had a general problem in the whole country.
Who was talking?
Hold on,
just a second. Who was talking to Nigerians about that?
Oh, we did.
Nobody is.
We did.
Well, I'm telling you,
nobody was here on this
the grid collapse.
Here.
The grid collapse.
Not just the grid.
Nobody told anyone anything.
Was gas. What happened?
You see?
Was unavailability
and
of gas.
And
because of that, I have to tell you the truth. I'm an Igbo man.
Nobody told anyone anything. Let me continue. There is this man, Adedayo, is saying, if they claim that they are still subsidizing the rest of the band, what should these other bands be expecting? When should these other bands be expecting a lift in rate? Are some bands still being subsidized?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm sure you listen.
It's only Band A that is not subsidized.
From B to...
It's only Band A that's now coming out to pay the appropriate price of electricity.
That's
are 265.
Appropriate price.
Okay.
Yes.
It's okay. Now, I hope you heard that. Adedayo Omobai says, the increment affected my area. Tollgate axis in Songwater. On my street, majority are low-income earners. I'm a teacher without a Rolls Royce.
The point I'm making.
So what do you want to tell Adedayo Omobai?
What I'm telling you is anywhere you are, whoever you are, if you are enjoying between 20 and 24 hours of electricity in Nigeria, please pay the appropriate price and manage your unit. This one even called for energy management. Put on the light only where you are. You can't put on the light upstairs while you are watching television downstairs. When you are watching a or somewhere in the corner of your house, put off all the other lights, kitchen, toilet, upstairs, in all the rooms. That is the way it should be. Let us face reality. Nigeria is a country paying one of the lowest tariffs in the whole of Africa. So when you hear there's light in Ghana or Senegal, this is the issue. Pay the appropriate prices and get the service.
Well, always also add that Nigeria is one of the countries with the lowest minimum wage in Africa. Please always add that.
I work for the disco. We are private business people.
30,000 naira. And out of that, they're going to pay this NEPA?
No, when you talk about wages or when you talk about cost of living, that should be taken to the doorstep of the government. Don't link it together. We are businessmen.
Let me not even interrogate you further. Here is someone is sending a message here 24/7. Says that's a lie. I live perhaps responding to the Ogombo stories. I live in Good News Estate Ogombo, and I can say we use light for up to 15 to 20 hours.
God bless you.
And Ogombo community also uses light, though in recent time only during the night. If the person's area doesn't have light, then they should fix the transformer. That's from Olajide. Chinedun Wachuku says...
Local fault.
Thank you.
Chinedun Wachuku said, I live in Abuja, Lugbe FHA House 1. I can tell you that we do not have power for up to 16 to 20 hours as claimed by the electricity people.
I said...
You create one.
Please, no, look,
16 hours
from Sun City Estate.
Just
so please, anybody
what's his name? What's his name? What's his name?
His name Chinedu Nwachukwu.
Chinedu.
Because how many hours?
Nah. You have 16 hours a day. You are complaining.
Is that not up to? Not
okay,
up to.
You have 14.
Oh.
I have 1 hour in 3 days. In 72 hours, I have 1 hour.
You don't live in the FCT, please. And Odogu says,
please
my mom
count your blessings.
My mom said, Odogu said, my mom paid for prepaid meter in Mowe, and now they are saying all the staff have been sacked. And she now she can't get any meter because they said the staff were not remitting money. Goes back to the metering issue that we read the other time. Okay, so Odogu is asking, help me tell your guest that why is Ibafo in Ogun State not having light? What band are they?
I don't know what band are they in Ibafo.
Okay.
But what I know is that Ibafo is under Ibadan, Electric Division Company, and there have been issues around Mowe, Ibafo, even up to Magboro, and they are making effort to fix it. But what's most important, and what we're talking about now, is that you should only be paying for the service you receive. Well,
OJ is perhaps on your side here. Electricity tariff in Benin Republic is $0.560 of kilowatt hour. That's around 686 naira. Average cost in Ghana is equivalent of 154 naira. We must be willing to pay a viable price if we expect more investment in power sector.
Thank you.
Tough T says the discos and the regulators shouldn't visit their incompetence on the citizenry, and the government also has a moral responsibility to ensure that subsidies are applied appropriately and corruption addressed instead of punishing citizens. That's the way many people are still seeing it, punishment. Now, this man says, Abu Michael, the electricity man there is just using his elitist mentality. Almost all of us in Jos are in Band A. Every vast part of Abuja Road and Mararaba is in Band A. How many people do you think earn above 200K in Mararaba? Well, they just, that's part of the comment that, I don't know about the elitist part though, Abu Michael, but because this man is an Egba man, he just told you that he uses Band D when he goes home.
Yes.
Now, one of the things so there's someone who actually cited an example here who said, expresses the hope that things will get better.
It will get better.
As we
I can assure Nigerians that it will get better.
Yeah, but you know,
on my honor, I say it will get better. I've been around for long enough to tell you that if we begin to do more, generate more electricity, if the gas suppliers are paid, if people do what they're supposed to do, if energy theft goes down, if the judiciary help us each time we catch these thieves and they send them to jail or fine them, things will get better. People do things because they think they can get away with it. And when you talk about doing something on energy theft, we are not the courts. We know how many cases we have all over the country now that the courts are, maybe they have too many cases to deal with. These are the issues that we all need to work on. Everybody needs to play their part. The point is we all have a part to play. We as operators have a part to play. We need to be more efficient.
Okay.
The government have a part to play, and they are trying their best now. And of course, the consumers too have a part to play. People should say something when they see something. And in the case of the operators, we are trying our best, but we need to do more. And we admit that we have more to do. But in terms of payment, it has to be the appropriate price. We can't do anything less than that.
Mr. Oduntan, we're running out of time quickly. If one's feeder is supposed to be on Band A,
yes,
and they are not getting enough power, what should they do?
I'll give you an example. Benin Electric Division Company, they started something very wonderful this week, which is why we're saying don't change a winning team, because what they're doing there is fantastic. The MD of Benin has released a number. If you're on Band A and there's an outage, there's what we call rapid response team under BEDC, and other discos are doing the same. So there'll be a number that everybody who is on that band have to call, because sometimes there could be a local issue, like the Ogombot issue now.
Yes.
If your transformer is faulty, it does not mean that you are not on band A if you are originally on band A. But the moment you report it, we have to respond quickly because you are paying. For what you are paying, you should get appropriate service.
Of course.
That's commensurate with what we are paying, what you are paying.
But
if people are stealing on your transformer and that transformer gets faulty, and we check the transformer, we see the debt on the transformer, the first thing we are going to do, I'm afraid, is to ask you to go and pay your debt.
Okay. Anyway, Skittish Money is kind of on the same side with you this morning. It says the high cost is coming from the small scale of power generated and consumed. Telco service became cheaper as the consumption became ubiquitous. I believe we need appropriate pricing so investors can come in and use, and usage will lead to scale and reduced prices. That's from Skittish Money 27 on X. But there's just one last question. Someone is asking, how do you respond to those who are always having low currents?
Again, that's usually a local issue. That's a fault within that locality. What we do normally is to go there and rectify the fault. When people have low currents, it can be as a result of a problem within their transformer. It can be that the transformer is overloaded. So we look at the transformer and how many people is it serving. Again, these are part of the thing where we need to really reinvest and do something quickly. Because it's better not to have light than to have low current. And it's better for everybody to have light. Look, the more electricity you have, the more money I will make as a disco. It is not in my interest for you not to have light. So it's not even in my interest for you to be on band D or band C. If you're all on band A, that means you'll be paying the premium.
And you'll be making more money.
That's what I'm saying. We're trying our best, like I said about Benin Disco and other discos. Let people pay, and of course, we'll make sure that we up our game and do what is best.
No comments.
You can be assured.
No further comments.
Executive Director, Research and Advocacy, Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors, Mr. Sunday Oduntan. Thank you very much for coming this morning and enlightening us on this very vexatious matter of electricity price hike. So if you're on band A and you have a problem, you have to call the rapid response number.
Yes.
Depending on which state you're in, of course, so that they will hook you back on, because you need to get 20 hours and they need to make their money.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for staying with us. Sunrise will be right back with another interesting conversation in just a moment. Do stay with us.